You own 3 tools for a clogged drain: a plunger, a jug of chemical cleaner under the sink, and maybe a snake, that coiled metal cable you feed down the pipe. And here's the thing, and nobody in my trade will say out loud: all 3 of them make the exact same mistake. Every single one of them pushes. They shove the clog deeper, or they punch a hole straight through the middle of it. And that hole is exactly why the drain clogs again 3 days later. The fix is a tool most people already own and never think to point at a drain. And it works because it does the one thing those other 3 can't. It pulls. Stick with me, because it clears a kitchen sink, a tub, a bathroom sink, a shower, even a toilet, using the same simple move. And at the very end, I'll give you the one sound coming out of your drain that means you should put the vac down, walk away, and call somebody. Because pushing your luck there turns a cheap afternoon into a 4-figure repair. So why does pushing fail? Think about what a clog actually is. It's not a solid plug like a cork in a bottle. It's a soft mat. Hair wound around grease, food packed against soap scum, all of it lining the walls of the pipe like plaque building up in an artery. It narrows the opening until water can barely trickle through. Now watch what each tool does to that. The plunger sends a pressure wave down the line. Sometimes that wave moves the mat. More often it just punches a narrow hole through the softest part of the center. Water rushes through the hole. You think you won. But the ring of gunk around the walls never moved. It's still there. It just closed back over in a few days. Chemical drain cleaner does the same thing with acid instead of pressure. It burns a channel down through the middle where the water already sits, and it leaves the coating on the walls almost untouched. Meanwhile, it's sitting in your old pipe, eating at it. In a house with original cast iron or old galvanized steel, that's not a fix. That's a slow leak you're paying to create. Stay away from the caustic stuff. It's the worst deal in this whole trade. And the snake? A snake is better. I'll give it that. But a hand snake mostly spears a tunnel through a soft clog. It bores through the hair mat and leaves the walls of the tunnel coated. You get flow back, and then the hair and grease slowly collapse back into the gap. That's the part that drives people crazy. They snake the same sink 4 times a year and never understand why it keeps happening. It keeps happening because the clog was never removed. It was just perforated. Here's the reframe that changes everything. Stop trying to make a hole in the clog. Take the whole clog out of the pipe. Lift it. And the tool that does that is a wet/dry shop vac. That's the round tank vacuum with a big hose that you'd use for sawdust or a flooded basement. Sit upright. It grabs the entire obstruction and pulls it back up the pipe and into the tank in one shot. Hair mat, food plug, a kid's toy, a fork that went down months ago. Out. Gone. Not perforated. Gone. Now, before you go grab a vacuum, listen close, because this next part is where people get hurt, and I will not skip it. You need a wet/dry vac, wet rated. That means the machine is built to pick up water safely. Your regular household vacuum, the one you run over the carpet, is not that. Never point a household vacuum at standing water. Water and electricity together is a shock hazard and a fire hazard, and you'll destroy the machine on top of it. That's not me being careful for the lawyers. That's a real way people get seriously hurt. Wet-rated vac, or you don't do this at all. 3 quick setup steps, and they all matter. First, take out the paper filter. Most shop vacs ship with a dry paper filter for dust, and paper plus water turns to mush in seconds. That mush gets sucked into the motor and burns it out. Pull it. Second, switch the vac to wet pickup, whatever your manual says for your model. Third, and this is a safety one, plug it into a GFCI outlet. That's the outlet with the little test and reset buttons, the ones you've got in a bathroom or a kitchen or a garage. A GFCI cuts the power in a fraction of a second if it senses electricity going where it shouldn't. If the nearest one is across the room, use an extension cord that's rated for wet use. You'll see a W stamped on the jacket, and keep the body of the vac up out of any puddle. Motor stays dry, cord stays dry, hands stay dry. All right, machine's ready. Now, the part that separates the people who get a satisfying whoomp from the people who stand there wondering why nothing happened. The seal. The seal is everything. Suction only works if the vac and the drain are talking to each other through a sealed tube. Air is lazy. It will always take the easiest path. So if there's any open gap between your hose and the pipe, the vac just sucks room air through that gap and does nothing to your clog. Your job is to close every gap. Start at the hose. Take a wet rag or a small towel, wet because wet makes a better seal than dry, and wrap it around the vac hose right where the hose meets the mouth of the drain. Pack it in and press down hard. You're building a tight collar, so the only air the vac can pull comes from down inside the pipe. Then you block every escape route. This is a step people forget, and it's why they fail. Every fixture has a second opening you're not thinking about, and the vac will happily pull air through that instead of your clog. On a bathroom sink, that's the overflow. See that little hole up near the rim inside the basin? That connects to the same drain lower down. Leave it open, and your suction leaks straight out of it. Cover it. Press a wet rag over it and hold it, or have a helper do it. On a tub, same deal. There's an overflow plate up under the faucet, usually a metal cover with a screw or two. That's an open pipe into the same line. Cover it or seal it. On a double bowl kitchen sink, the two drains are joined underneath. So while you're vacuuming one bowl, the other bowl is a wide open escape route. Plug it, a drain stopper, a wet rag jammed in, even the flat of your hand held down hard. And if you've got a dishwasher, look for the little chrome bump on the counter behind the faucet. That's the air gap, and yep, it ties into the same drain. It'll leak your suction too. Cover it. Block all of that, and every bit of the vacuum's pull is now aimed at one thing: your clog. One more move before you pull. If there's standing water sitting in the fixture, vacuum that up first, in open air, before you seal anything. 2 reasons. You get your eyes on the actual drain opening, and you're not asking the motor to haul a gallon of dirty water and a clog at the same time. Clear the water, then seal up and go for the clog. Now hold it. Sealed hose, all escapes blocked. Vac running. Give it 10 to 20 seconds of steady pull. Don't jab at it. Don't keep breaking the seal to peak. Just hold steady pressure and let the suction work on that mat. When it lets go, you'll hear it. There's an audible pull, a deep, sudden whoomp as the whole thing tears free and rockets up the hose into the tank. That sound is the sound of a clog that is not coming back, because it's not in your pipe anymore. It's in the can. That's the whole core of it. Sealed hose, blocked escapes, steady pull. Before I show you how to work each fixture and what to do when it fights back, let me point you to one thing that keeps money in your pocket long after this video. If today saved you a service call, my book will save you a stack of them. It's called 100 Old House Fixes that save you thousands. It's built for exactly this house, the older one with the quirks, and it's the thing to read before your next contractor visit, because it arms you with the smart questions that stop you from paying for work you don't need. There's a link down in the description and a code on your screen you can scan if that's easier. Okay, back to it. First, what if you sealed everything up, held the pull, and nothing happened? No whoomp, no movement. Just the vac roaring away. Don't panic and don't assume the method failed. 9 times out of 10, it's the seal, and it's one of a short list of things. Reason 1, your hose collar leaked, so wet that rag down more and press harder. Reason 2, you forgot an escape route. Go back and check the overflow, the second bowl, the air gap, because the vac will find any hole you left open before it'll fight your clog. Reason 3, the clog is farther down the line than the vac can reach, deeper than the trap, which is that curved pipe right under the fixture. The VAC pulls best on clogs in the first few feet. Reason 4, and this happens with older tubs and sinks, the stopper or the basket wasn't fully out and it's still blocking the path. And reason 5, your tank filled up with water from an earlier pull and the float shut the suction off, so dump it and go again. Work down that list. Most of the time, the second attempt is the one that lets go. Give it 2 or 3 honest tries, and if it still won't budge after that, the clog is telling you it's deeper than a homeowner job. I'll show you exactly how to be sure near the end. Now, here's where it gets practical, fixture by fixture, because each one has its own little wrinkle. The kitchen sink. Pull out the strainer basket first, that metal cup sitting in the drain hole. It'll block your seal, and half the time the clog is jammed right under it anyway. Basket out, seal your hose over the opening, remember to plug the second bowl, and pull. Kitchen clogs are usually grease and food, and grease sets up hard down there like candle wax cooling on a holder. The vac doesn't care. It lifts the whole waxy plug out in one go. The bathroom sink. The clog here is almost always a wet mat of hair and toothpaste and soap. First, pop out the stopper, that little plug you push to fill the basin. Sometimes you lift it straight out. Sometimes there's a rod under the sink you unhook first. Get it out of the way so the hair has a clear path up. Then cover that overflow hole, like we talked about. Seal the hose and pull. What comes out of a bathroom sink is genuinely nasty and genuinely satisfying. The tub. Same enemy, hair, just more of it, and pack deeper. Unscrew the overflow plate under the faucet and cover that opening. Seal your hose at the tub drain and go. Tubs hold a long, thick rope of hair down there, and the vac walks it right out. The shower. This one's the easiest of the whole bunch. A shower drain is usually a straight shot down with no overflow and no stopper to fight. Pop the cover grate if there is one. Seal the hose over the opening. Pull. Done. And the toilet. Yes, the vac works on a toilet too, pulling from the bottom of the bowl. But I'll be straight with you. This is the one spot where the vac usually isn't your fastest option. A good flange plunger, the kind with the extra rubber sleeve that folds out to fit the toilet's opening, Moves most toilet clogs quicker with less setup. Save the vac for the toilet when the plunger's already lost the fight. Across all of it, the same short list of things comes up that hose. Hair mats the size of a small animal. Grease and food plugs, flushable wipes, which are a lie. By the way, they don't break down, and they're the number one thing I pull out of drains that shouldn't be there. Kids' toys, bottle caps, more forks and spoons than you'd ever guess. If it fits in the pipe, the vac can lift it. Let me answer the question you're probably asking, which is, when do I reach for the vac versus just grabbing the plunger? Simple rule. If the clog is soft and shallow and there's water you can plunge against, try the plunger first. It's 30 seconds of setup, and sometimes that's all you need. But the second you plunge the drain twice and it clogs again within the week, stop plunging. That pattern is the drain telling you the plunger is only punching a hole and the ring is still there. That's your cue to bring out the vac and take the whole thing out for good. Same with a drain that's got something solid down it, a toy, a cap, a chunk of something. You will never plunge a solid object out. You'll only pack it tighter. That's a pull job from the start. Think of the plunger as the quick first swing and the vac as the tool that ends the fight. And once you've pulled a clog clean out, run hot water down that line for a good minute to flush whatever loosened but didn't come up. Little habit keeps the drain honest. Now let's talk money, because this is where it really lands. A wet/dry shop vac runs you somewhere around $50 to $100 for a small one that does everything we just covered. And honestly, the small ones are plenty. Now, compare that to what a plumber charges to come out and clear one clogged fixture. In most places, that's $150 to $300 for a single sink or tub, and that's the routine daytime price. Call on a weekend or at night, and it climbs from there. So the vac pays for itself the very first time you use it instead of picking up the phone. First time. And after that, every clog it clears is money that stays in your pocket. Better yet, that same vac isn't a one-trick tool sitting in the garage. The day a supply line lets go, or the washer overflows, or you get water in the basement, that wet/dry vac is the first thing you grab. It's clog, tool, and flood cleanup crew in one box. That's a good $50. Which brings me to the thing I promised you at the start. The one sound that means stop. Everything I just taught you clears a clog that lives in the pipe running from one fixture. That's the vast majority of the clogs you'll ever meet, and now you can beat them. But there's a different kind of problem that looks similar and is not the same animal at all. And knowing the difference is what separates a $50 afternoon from a real mistake. Here it is. If two or more fixtures back up at the same time, the sink and the tub together, say, or the toilet and the shower, that's not a fixture clog. And if you run water somewhere in the house and the lowest drain, usually a downstairs tub or a basement floor drain, starts gurgling and bubbling up, listen to that. That gurgle is the tell. Both of those mean the blockage isn't in one little branch pipe. It's down in the main line, the single big pipe that carries everything out of your house to the sewer. When that's plugged, every fixture upstream of it has nowhere to drain, so they all back up and the low one talks to you. No vac fixes that. I don't care how strong it is. That's a job for a pro with a powered mainline machine or a camera, and it can involve tree roots or a collapsed pipe, real repairs. If you try to muscle a mainline stoppage with a shop vac, best case you waste an afternoon. Worst case you're pulling sewage into a tank in your kitchen. So the moment you see two fixtures backing up together, or you hear that low drain gurgle when you run water elsewhere, you stop. You put the vac away. And you make the call with your eyes open, knowing exactly why. That right there, knowing what to fix and what not to touch, is worth more than any tool. That instinct, knowing which jobs are yours and which ones aren't, is the whole spine of my book, 100 Old House Fixes that save you thousands. It walks you through the small stuff you can handle yourself and the early warning signs of the leaks that quietly rot out floors and ceilings and cabinets before you ever see a drop. So you catch them cheap instead of paying for the damage later. Links in the description, scan codes on your screen. And if this is the kind of straight answer you want more of, subscribe to Roger the Pipe Guy, because that's all this channel does. Old house fixes that keep your money where it belongs, in your pocket.